Welcome everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on silviculture practices and wood quality. This is our first slide, the cover slide, so I just want to briefly introduce what we'll be exploring together. We'll look at how silviculture practices influence the quality of wood, covering key techniques and their impacts. I look forward to sharing insights and engaging with you throughout this session. Let's get started. Let's start by talking about silviculture, which is essentially the art and science of cultivating forest crops. It involves understanding how to manage and promote healthy forest growth to meet various objectives, whether it's timber production, conservation, or recreation. Think of it as a careful balance between scientific principles and practical techniques to ensure forests thrive sustainably. Now, moving on to wood quality. This refers to the various characteristics of wood that directly influence the properties of the products we make from it. In other words, when we talk about wood quality, we're looking at features like strength, durability, appearance, and workability. These factors determine how suitable the wood is for specific uses, from furniture to construction. Connecting these ideas to our overall theme, understanding silviculture helps us produce better quality wood. Proper forest management ensures that the trees grow under optimal conditions, which enhances their characteristics and the end product's quality. So, in essence, good silvicultural practices are key to achieving high-quality wood resources that meet industry needs. When we talk about high-quality wood, there are several key characteristics to consider. First, high density is crucial because it generally indicates stronger, more durable wood. Next, uniform growth rings are important because they reflect consistent growth, which contributes to the wood's stability and strength. Having a high ring count, specifically more than 7 rings per inch, suggests slower, quality growth, which often correlates with better mechanical properties. Fiber length is also a vital factor, as longer fibers usually mean better bonding and stronger wood overall. The cylindrical form and straightness of grains, or straight form, are important because they influence the wood's workability and appearance. Consistent grain patterns make the wood easier to process and more aesthetically pleasing. The proportion of heartwood can also impact quality, as a higher proportion often means better durability and resistance to pests. Sound, tight knots are desirable because they do not compromise the wood's integrity, unlike loose or cracked knots. Finally, the wood should be free from defects, such as cracks, splits, or warping, which can weaken the material and reduce its usefulness. All of these factors together, as Ray Travers highlighted in 2007, help define high-quality wood and ensure it performs well in its intended applications. Let's talk about the factors that influence wood quality. First up is density. Density affects the strength and durability of the wood. Heavier woods tend to be stronger. Next, the uniformity of growth rings is important because consistent growth results in more predictable performance. Fiber length also plays a crucial role. Longer fibers generally mean better strength and better surface finish. The percentage of clear bole is another key factor. More clear, defect-free wood means higher quality and better appearance. Straightness of the grain is essential for workability and stability, making the wood easier to cut and shape. The proportion of heartwood influences the durability and resistance to pests, since heartwood is usually more resistant than sapwood. Lastly, the presence of juvenile and reaction woods can negatively affect the wood's strength and appearance, so their absence or minimal presence is preferred. All these factors together help us determine the overall quality of the wood, which is vital for ensuring the best performance in our projects. Let's talk about density in wood. Density is primarily measured by something called specific gravity, which essentially tells us how much dry wood substance is packed into a given volume. Think of it as a way to gauge how heavy or dense a piece of wood truly is relative to its size. Now, when we look at different types of wood, you'll notice that high-density species are typically used in lumber products. For example, Douglas fir and southern yellow pine are known for their higher density, making them ideal for construction and structural uses because they're stronger and more durable. On the other hand, low-density species are often used as raw materials in industries like pulp and paper. White and sugar pine fall into this category. They're lighter, which makes them easier to process for paper production. It's also interesting to note that ring and semi-ring porous hardwoods tend to show increased density, especially in the heartwood, which contributes to their strength and durability. Another key point is that growth rate plays a significant role in determining wood density. Generally, the maximum density and strength develop in mature wood. Research by Jane and colleagues back in 1970 showed that when growth rings measure about 6 to 10 per inch, the wood tends to reach its optimal density and strength. So, in essence, the density of wood isn't just about the species itself, but also about how fast or slow it grows, which influences its structural properties and suitability for different applications. Let's talk about uniformity in wood, which is actually one of the biggest challenges facing all wood-based industries. As Larson pointed out back in 1969, a lack of uniformity can really impact the quality of the final product. Essentially, when we look at wood, we want it to be as consistent as possible, both within individual growth rings and between different rings. This uniformity is largely determined by two key factors: the growth rate and the conditions under which the tree grew. Variations in these factors can lead to differences in the wood's structure, which can affect everything from strength to appearance. So, maintaining or understanding this uniformity is crucial for producing high-quality wood and ensuring the reliability of our products. Let's talk about the heartwood proportion. Heartwood is less susceptible to attacks from fungi and insects compared to sapwood, which makes it more durable and valuable for certain applications. This natural resistance is a key reason why heartwood is so important in timber production. Additionally, by implementing shorter rotation periods and promoting fast growth rates, we can avoid excessive production of heartwood. This means we can optimize growth cycles to balance the yield and quality of the timber. Overall, understanding the proportion of heartwood helps us improve timber quality and durability, aligning with our goal of sustainable and efficient forestry practices. Let's talk about fiber length and why it matters. Fiber length plays a crucial role in determining the tear resistance, tensile strength, fold strength, and burst strength of wood. Basically, longer fibers tend to make the wood stronger and more durable, while shorter fibers can make it less resistant to tearing. In juvenile wood, the fibers are generally shorter, which can influence its strength properties. As the wood matures, the fibers become longer, enhancing its overall strength and durability. It's also interesting to note that fertilization and irrigation treatments can impact fiber length, but their effects vary depending on whether we're dealing with hardwoods or softwoods. In hardwoods, these treatments might influence fiber development differently compared to softwoods, which adds another layer of complexity when managing wood quality. Understanding these differences helps us better predict and improve the properties of the wood we work with, aligning with the overall goal of optimizing wood's strength and performance. Let's talk about the presence of juvenile and reaction woods. During the juvenile period, stems tend to grow rapidly, which means they will have a relatively high proportion of juvenile wood. This is an important aspect because juvenile wood differs quite a bit from mature wood. Now, focusing on the characteristics of juvenile wood, it tends to shrink and swell along the grain as moisture content changes. This can affect how the wood behaves in various applications. Additionally, juvenile wood generally has lower strength, sometimes significantly lower, compared to the mature wood of the same tree. Moving on to reaction wood formation, this can occur even in rapidly grown wood, and interestingly, it can form without the stem actually leaning. This reaction wood forms as a response to growth stresses, and understanding this helps us see how trees adapt to their environment and growth conditions. By recognizing these features, we can better predict wood behavior and make more informed decisions in wood utilization and forestry practices. Let's talk about juvenile and mature wood content, which is really crucial when considering wood quality. The proportion of juvenile versus mature wood in a piece of timber directly impacts its overall quality and performance. Now, juvenile wood in particular has some distinctive features. It consists of thin-walled cells, which means it has a lower specific gravity, making it generally less dense and sometimes weaker compared to mature wood. What's interesting is that the differences between juvenile and mature wood aren't just about density. They also involve variations in cell morphology and chemical composition. These differences can influence how the wood behaves in different applications, from structural uses to finishing. It's important to remember that these variations aren't uniform across all trees. They can differ quite a bit between different species, and even within different parts of the same tree. So, understanding the proportion and characteristics of juvenile versus mature wood helps us better predict and improve the quality of the timber we work with. Let's talk about some silviculture practices that can really improve the quality of the wood we harvest. First, using high-quality seedling stock and managing nurseries carefully is essential. Healthy, robust seedlings set the foundation for better wood quality down the line. Proper spacing at planting time also plays a crucial role, as it ensures trees have enough room to grow strong and develop good structure. Thinning is another important practice. By selectively removing some trees, we reduce competition and allow the remaining ones to grow thicker and healthier. Pruning and other tending operations help improve the form and wood quality by removing branches that might cause defects or weak points. Fertilization and irrigation are also key. They provide the nutrients and water needed for optimal growth and wood development. Lastly, genetic improvement ties everything together. Selecting and breeding trees with desirable traits can significantly enhance wood quality over generations. All these practices, when combined, contribute to producing higher quality timber, which supports sustainable forestry and better economic returns. When it comes to quality planting stock, there are several crucial factors to consider. First, the selection of superior phenotype trees is essential. These are the trees that show the best traits for growth, resilience, and productivity, and choosing the right phenotype sets the foundation for successful planting. Next, grading of seeds plays a vital role. Proper grading ensures that only high-quality seeds are used, which directly impacts the vigor and uniformity of the resulting seedlings. It's about selecting the best starting material to ensure strong growth. Using appropriate nursery technology is also key. This involves employing the best practices and tools in the nursery to nurture healthy, strong seedlings. Proper nursery techniques help improve survival rates and overall plant quality. Culling of inferior seedlings is another important step. By removing weaker or diseased seedlings early on, we prevent them from competing with better ones, ensuring that only the strongest plants are used for planting. Finally, the age of the planting stock matters. Younger, healthy seedlings are generally more adaptable and have better growth potential, but they shouldn't be too young to ensure they are well established before transplantation. All these factors, selection, grading, nursery technology, culling, and age, are interconnected and critical for producing high-quality planting stock that will perform well in the field and support the overall success of our forestry goals. Let's talk about appropriate nursery technology and what it really entails for successful plant cultivation. First, the optimum container size is crucial because it provides enough space for roots to grow without being overcrowded, which encourages healthy development. Next, using a nutrient-rich soil mixture is essential. This ensures that young plants get the vital nutrients they need right from the start. In addition, biofertilizers play a key role. They help improve soil fertility naturally and promote healthy microbial activity. The application of DAP, or diammonium phosphate, provides a readily available source of nitrogen and phosphorus, supporting early growth stages. Farmyard manure, or FYM, is another organic option that enriches the soil with essential nutrients. Moving on, need-based irrigation is vital. Watering should be tailored to the specific needs of the plants, avoiding both overwatering and underwatering, which can stress young seedlings. Nutrition can also be supplemented with cow dung or oil cake extract, offering additional organic nutrients that boost plant vigor. Timely planting is another important aspect. Planting at the right time ensures root coiling occurs optimally, leading to better establishment and growth. Lastly, managing pests and diseases proactively is key. Preventative measures and timely interventions help maintain healthy seedlings and prevent losses. All these points tie back into our overall goal: creating a supportive environment that maximizes plant health and productivity right from the nursery stage. When we look at spacing at planting time, it's important to remember that nutrients and water availability are limited, and sunlight plays a crucial role in growth. In wide-spaced trees, the trees have more access to sunlight, which means they tend to grow faster and develop desirable characteristics. Now, when trees are spaced widely in open areas, we see some distinct effects. For example, there's a higher proportion of juvenile wood, which can impact the quality of the timber. We also see larger knots forming, greater stem taper, and an increase in the number of branches. These factors often lead to slower overall growth because the tree's energy is distributed across more branches and knots. On the other hand, closer spacing of trees offers some clear advantages. It encourages the trees to develop a more cylindrical stem, which is often desirable for timber quality. Closer spacing maximizes the utilization of space, allowing trees to grow rapidly and efficiently. This rapid growth translates into higher yields within a shorter rotation period, making it more economical and productive. So essentially, the choice of spacing impacts not just how quickly the trees grow, but also the quality and characteristics of the wood. Wide spacing can lead to slower growth and certain structural traits, while closer spacing promotes faster growth and better space utilization. Both strategies have their place, depending on the overall goals for the forest or plantation. Pruning is essentially the process of removing branches from a tree. It's a crucial practice in forestry and horticulture because it helps shape the tree and improve its overall health. There are two main types of pruning: live pruning, which involves cutting branches that are still alive, and dead pruning, where we remove branches that have already died. The main objective of pruning is to promote the growth of a clear bole, which is the straight, healthy trunk of the tree. This is especially important for timber production because it results in better quality wood. Additionally, pruning helps produce knot-free wood, which is highly desirable in many wood products. By carefully removing unnecessary or problematic branches, we encourage the tree to grow in a way that's both healthy and efficient for timber harvesting. So, overall, pruning is about guiding the tree's growth to maximize its quality and utility while maintaining its vitality. Now, let's talk about thinning. Thinning is essentially a process where we make the stand appear immature intentionally. The goal here is to improve the growth and form of the remaining trees. By doing this, we ensure that the remaining trees can develop more healthily and with better structure. Importantly, this process doesn't mean permanently breaking the canopy. Rather, it's about selectively removing some trees to benefit the overall stand. The objectives of thinning are quite clear. First, we want to improve hygiene by removing dead and dried trees, which helps prevent pests and diseases. Second, it's about ensuring the trees are in the best physical condition possible: healthy, strong, and vigorous. Third, thinning helps us obtain the desired crop, meaning we can better control the stand's development to meet our specific goals. Another key point is stand composition. By selectively removing certain trees, we can improve the mixture of species and sizes within the stand, leading to a more balanced and resilient forest. Additionally, thinning plays a role in enhancing wood quality. By reducing competition, the remaining trees can grow straighter and produce higher quality timber. Overall, thinning is a strategic tool that supports the health, growth, and quality of our forest stand, aligning with our broader objectives of sustainable and productive forest management. Let's take a closer look at the wood quality of loblolly pine after thinning. What we're comparing here is the wood produced 4 years after implementing heavy thinning and pruning on 9-year-old stands, versus wood from unthinned stands of the same age. What stands out is that we see a 3-fold increase in radial growth in the thinned and pruned stands. This is a significant boost, indicating that the trees are growing much more vigorously when they are thinned properly. Along with this increased growth, there's also a notable rise in specific gravity, which is an indicator of wood density, and in the percentage of late wood, those denser, darker rings that form later in the growing season. These changes suggest that thinning and pruning not only promote faster growth, but also improve the quality of the wood itself. An especially interesting point is the change in the relationship between specific gravity and the percentage of late wood. This shift hints at fundamental structural changes within the wood, likely making it stronger and more suitable for various uses. Overall, this slide highlights how management practices like thinning and pruning can significantly influence both the growth rate and the structural qualities of loblolly pine wood, which is essential for optimizing timber production and quality. Now, here we see a close-up of a cut-to-length harvester in action, processing small-diameter Sitka spruce and western hemlock. This scene is part of a variable density thinning near Newport, Oregon. What's really important here is how this method allows us to selectively remove trees, optimizing forest health and productivity. This approach not only improves the stand structure, but also supports sustainable management by reducing overstocking and promoting growth of remaining trees. And this brings us to the King's Slough project, which was a key example of applying these advanced harvesting techniques in a real-world setting. It highlights how modern equipment and strategic thinning can make a significant difference in forest management. So, as we continue, keep in mind how these practices are integral to balancing timber production with ecological stewardship. Let's talk about fertilization and irrigation and how they influence tree growth. When we apply the right nutrients and water, we can see increased growth in our trees. One key benefit is that the carrying capacity, or the number of trees we can sustainably support in an area, may be increased, which is especially important when we're working with higher planting densities. While fertilization and irrigation mainly boost growth, it's worth noting that wood quality effects tend not to be very significant. The primary focus is on how these practices promote overall growth, and that brings us to the next point: increased ring width. Thicker rings indicate more growth within a given year, which can be beneficial for timber production. Additionally, these practices can lead to increased sizes of the trees, meaning larger diameters and heights, which are often desirable in commercial forestry. Overall, by managing fertilization and irrigation effectively, we can enhance growth rates and optimize our forest productivity, aligning well with our goal of sustainable and efficient forest management. Now, let's talk about how genetic manipulation can influence wood quality. When we alter the form of the tree, it can impact how the tree grows and develops. For example, changing the shape or structure can lead to improved growth rates and better wood properties. Additionally, by tweaking growth rate, we can make trees grow faster or more efficiently, which is crucial for sustainable production. Wood morphology, or the physical structure of the wood, can also be modified to enhance qualities like density or fiber length, directly affecting the wood's strength and usability. Furthermore, genetic approaches allow us to modify wood chemistry, which influences characteristics such as resin content, chemical composition, and decay resistance. A recent trend in the tree improvement program is to go beyond just increasing wood volume. Now, we're also focusing on manipulating wood quality itself, aiming to produce trees that not only grow quickly, but also yield superior, more desirable wood properties. This holistic approach aligns with our overall goal of sustainable and high-quality forest resource management. Let's take a closer look at the difference between wood quality and wood properties. Wood properties refer to the cellular, anatomical, and chemical characteristics of the wood itself. These are the fundamental traits that define how the wood is built at a microscopic level. On the other hand, wood quality is more about the utilization value, how suitable the wood is for a specific purpose or product. It's important to understand that the overall quality of a piece of wood isn't just about individual properties, but rather the cumulative effect of those properties on the end product. For example, the strength, durability, and appearance together determine how well the wood performs in a particular application. Now, when we talk about hardwoods, the stakes are even higher. Because hardwoods are used more extensively in furniture, flooring, and other high-value products, the importance of selecting wood with the right quality becomes critical. The better the quality, the more effectively we can utilize the wood's properties to produce superior products. So, in essence, understanding both wood properties and how they contribute to overall quality helps us make better decisions in wood utilization, especially for hardwoods where precision and quality directly impact the final product. Let's talk about wood-specific gravity, which is actually the most important factor contributing to wood quality. Basically, it's the ratio of the weight of a given volume of wood compared to the weight of an equal volume of water. So, if a piece of wood has a high specific gravity, it means it's denser and heavier for its size. This measurement is really useful because it has direct and significant positive correlations with various wood products, meaning that as the specific gravity increases, so does the strength and durability of the wood. It's also important to remember that specific gravity isn't a fixed property. It's influenced by several factors such as moisture content, species, and growth conditions. Understanding these influences helps us better predict how a particular piece of wood will perform in different applications, tying back to our overall goal of selecting the right wood for the right purpose. All right, so now let's talk about how we can control wood quality effectively. First up, selecting the best provenances for the specific species we're working with is crucial. This means choosing the seed sources that have demonstrated desirable traits and adaptability in your particular region. Once we've got our provenances sorted, we need to consider the age of harvest, or what we call the rotation period. Deciding when to harvest trees, whether they're still juvenile or fully mature, has a big impact on the quality of the wood we get. Timing it right can enhance desirable properties in the final product. Another important factor is plantation spacing. How far apart we plant the trees influences how juvenile wood forms. Closer spacing might lead to different growth patterns compared to wider spacing, so optimizing this can improve wood quality. We also have breeding strains of trees with specific desired traits. Through selective breeding, we can develop strains that consistently produce better quality wood, which is a huge advantage for achieving our goals. Most importantly, many wood properties, like density, strength, and stiffness, are moderately to strongly inherited. That means these traits can be passed down through generations, so selecting the right genetic material is fundamental to improving overall wood quality. In summary, by carefully choosing provenances, timing our harvests, managing plantation spacing, and breeding for desired traits, we can exert significant control over the quality of the wood we produce. These strategies are all interconnected and essential parts of a comprehensive approach to quality management in forestry. Continuing on this slide, let's look at how we can manipulate tree form through both silvicultural and genetic means. By applying specific silvicultural practices, we can influence the growth patterns and structure of trees to better suit our objectives. But more intriguingly, genetic tools allow us to breed trees for desirable traits. For example, selecting for straightness and small limbs can significantly improve the quality of the wood. When trees grow straighter and with fewer large limbs, the resulting lumber and plywood are of higher value. This approach not only enhances the yield, but also boosts the overall quality of the products we can produce, aligning perfectly with our goal of sustainable and efficient forest management. So, in essence, by combining these silvicultural and genetic strategies, we're making substantial advances in forest productivity and product quality. Let's explore how heterosis can be applied in tree breeding. When it comes to timber and wood production, one key example is the hybrid between Tectona hamiltonii and Tectona grandis. These hybrids are often developed to enhance desirable traits such as faster growth rates, better wood quality, or increased adaptability. In addition to improving timber yield, heterosis can also be used to augment or modify other useful products derived from trees, like roots, bark, or foliage. This broadens the scope of what we can achieve through selective breeding. When selecting trees for commercial purposes, we tend to favor tall, straight, and fast-growing giants. These characteristics make harvesting more efficient and the timber more valuable. Interestingly, we usually don't prioritize trees that mature quickly reproductively because our focus is on the physical traits that ensure better yield and quality. Another important aspect is enhancing stress adaptability and pest resistance. Using heterosis, we can develop tree varieties that withstand environmental stresses and resist pests more effectively, which is crucial for sustainable forestry. For example, the hybrid between Ulmus incana and Ulmus glutinosa, as studied by Campinos in 1980, exemplifies this approach by combining traits that improve resilience and adaptability. Overall, applying heterosis in tree breeding allows us to improve growth, product quality, and resilience, aligning with our goal of sustainable and efficient forest management. Eucalyptus. So this slide focuses on eucalyptus, which is actually a fascinating plant with a lot of significance. Eucalyptus trees are native to Australia, but they've been cultivated worldwide because of their many uses. One of the key points is that eucalyptus leaves contain oils that are widely used for medicinal and aromatic purposes. These oils have antimicrobial properties and are often found in products like cough drops and inhalants. Another important aspect is the rapid growth of eucalyptus trees, making them a popular choice for timber and pulp production. Their fast growth rate helps meet the high demand for paper and wood products. Additionally, eucalyptus trees play a role in environmental management, such as reforestation and land rehabilitation, especially in areas prone to erosion. Connecting this to the broader theme, eucalyptus exemplifies how plants can serve multiple roles, from ecological benefits to industrial applications. It underscores the importance of understanding plant properties and harnessing them sustainably for human benefit. So, in essence, eucalyptus is a perfect example of nature's versatility and the potential for responsible use in various industries. Let's take a closer look at how hybrid varieties compare to conventional ones across different species. Starting with eucalyptus, the hybrid yields average around 80 tons per hectare, which is quite impressive. In contrast, conventional eucalyptus yields range between 40 and 60 tons per hectare. This results in a yield advantage of about 37.5% for hybrids. Next, for casuarina, hybrids produce approximately 150 tons per hectare, while conventional varieties yield around 125 tons. That's a roughly 16.6% increase, highlighting a significant gain, though not as large as with eucalyptus. Moving on to poplar, hybrids yield about 48 tons per hectare compared to 35 tons for conventional varieties, giving us a 27% yield advantage. Overall, these figures, from Curana and Thacker in 1995, clearly show that hybrid varieties tend to outperform conventional ones in terms of yield. This is a key point as we consider the potential benefits of hybridization for improving productivity across different species. It emphasizes that adopting hybrid varieties can lead to substantial gains, which is essential for our overall theme of enhancing forestry productivity and sustainability.